Hey everyone, welcome to Anime Dreams. Glad to have you here on my YouTube channel. Today's fanfic topic is: what if Naruko was born in Uchiha? Part 5. Disclaimer: this channel is purely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not own any of the anime footage featured in my videos. All rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Alright, let's dive in. A lone figure knelt before a gravestone in Konoha's cemetery, the early morning mist adding to the solemn atmosphere. It was Naruko, clad in her usual attire, though she now wore black pants instead of her signature shorts. Before her stood a headstone etched with the name Shisui Uchiha. "Ni-san, I've finally become a shinobi," Naruko spoke softly, holding up her headband as if presenting it to someone dear. "I know I haven't visited in a while. It's been difficult without you. But now, I have Sasuke-chan, and things always seem better when she's around. Kakashi Oji-san is going to be our sensei. In a year, once the others graduate, we'll officially form Team 7. I just wanted to let you know. I miss you, Ni-san." She remained silent for a moment, allowing herself to reflect before taking a deep breath. Clenching her black headband tightly, she fastened it securely around her forehead, the silver plate proudly displaying the leaf symbol. As she opened her eyes, her Sharingan activated, the three tomoe spinning with quiet determination. "I will make you proud, Ni-san." With that, Naruko rose to her feet, bowing respectfully before Shisui's grave before turning away. Having recently earned her Jonin rank, she felt it was finally time to visit and pay her respects. The village was still quiet at this early hour, with most people yet to wake. As she exited the cemetery, Naruko's solemn pace shifted, she broke into a run. Every morning, she trained before preparing breakfast, a routine she had maintained for years. Now that she was no longer in the academy, she had even more time to dedicate to training and studying. "Maybe I should look into that Fuinjutsu theory book Oji-san gave me a few years ago," she mused. Naruko had always enjoyed learning new techniques, taking pride in mastering as many as she could. While she was still unsettled by the incident at the academy, part of her felt satisfied that she had stood her ground. She often found Kiba's antics frustrating, especially his constant attempts to get Sasuke's attention, despite her repeated rejections. But now that the academy was behind them, there was no reason to dwell on such things. The focus now was on moving forward, improving her skills, and pushing herself to new heights. Sasuke, too, had more time to train. Together, they planned to refine their techniques, including working on the Phoenix Flower Jutsu. But Naruko knew there was always more to learn. "Maybe I should ask Kakashi if I have any other chakra affinities I can train with. Focusing on just one could become a limitation. Specialization is important, but being too rigid in one area can be a disadvantage." Hokage's office. "So, you're considering recruiting her into your Anbu division?" "Hi, Sandaime-sama," the masked Anbu commander replied. "Few possess such talent at her age. We will wait until she gains experience through missions and reaches Chunin rank, but I believe she has great potential." Hiruzen studied the Anbu leader carefully. "Commander Wolf, are you certain this is a wise decision?" "Hi," the commander affirmed. "Her talent and skill are undeniable, what she lacks is experience. However, that can be addressed. As you know, many among us are proficient in Fuinjutsu." The Hokage nodded thoughtfully. "Very well. Once she achieves Chunin rank, you may present your proposal. However, it will be at least a year before she begins undertaking missions. There is something I'd like to request regarding that, Sandaime-sama." Hiruzen's gaze sharpened. "What is it? Could we bypass the D rank missions and start with C rank as a minimum? I am aware that Captain Hatake will serve as the team's Jonin leader, and given his capabilities, I trust he can manage. The risks are acknowledged, but this step is necessary. We need to assess their abilities in a real-world scenario. On paper, there should be no issues, but we want to see it in action." Hiruzen considered the proposal carefully. Kakashi was undeniably one of the most skilled shinobi in the village, capable of handling high-level assignments independently. Furthermore, 2 of his squad members already demonstrated Chunin-level skills, though they lacked the official experience. Very well, Hiruzen agreed. I will approve this, Commander. I trust that you will not be disappointed. Nor do I, the commander replied. Do me a favor, summon Kakashi. I would like to inform him personally, and I am certain he will play a crucial role in preparing your new prospect for the Anbu, should they choose to take that path. Understood. 3 hours later. Kakashi strolled through the village, reflecting on the news he had received. A potential Anbu recruit. Naruko possessed a certain depth within her, something that could be an asset in such a role. He had a responsibility now, ensuring that she was prepared if she decided to pursue this path. A part of him felt a sense of pride, yet he was also aware of the challenges that came with the position. The work was demanding, requiring unwavering dedication, and it had a lasting impact on those who took it on. He knew firsthand, it was a path that changed a person forever. Would Minato approve of this? Would Shisui support the decision, or would they be against Naruko joining the Anbu? It could be beneficial for her, being under the direct guidance of the third Hokage and surrounded by others who have experienced hardship might give her a sense of belonging. They could provide guidance and mentorship. On the other hand, there is a risk. The darkness within her could grow, making it harder to stay true to herself. There are no guarantees about where this path may lead. All Kakashi could do was support Naruko to the best of his ability. With his decision made, he set out to inform Naruko of the news. She needed to know that the Anbu commander had taken an interest in her potential and that, from this point forward, Kakashi would be preparing her for the opportunity. It was a great honor to be considered, and an even greater one to serve as a member. The Anbu held immense respect, second only to the Hokage. Kakashi rang the doorbell and waited. He knew Naruko would be awake by now, so the lack of an immediate response was unusual. He rang the bell again, then a third time, before he finally heard an exasperated Sasuke approaching. Naru-kun, why are you waking me up like this? She grumbled, opening the door. However, she froze when she realized it wasn't Naruko but Kakashi standing there. Her irritation quickly turned into embarrassment as she smiled sheepishly and rubbed the back of her head. So? Naru-kun, is it? Kakashi asked with amusement. Sasuke blushed. That just happened. Her birthday, I assume? She nodded. Adorable. Well, I was hoping to speak with her, but it seems she isn't here. Do you know when she'll be back? She usually starts breakfast around this time, so she should be here any minute. Is something wrong, Kakashi-sensei? No, quite the opposite. She has been offered a tremendous honor. However, it's also a significant decision, one that will bring change. What kind of change? I'll explain when she arrives. All right. In the meantime, would you like some peach tea or juice? Tea sounds nice. Sasuke nodded and went to prepare the tea, hoping whatever news Kakashi had wouldn't be anything troubling. If it truly was an honor, why did it sound so serious? What exactly was about to change? She and Naruko had only just begun growing closer, and she had finally started to open up more. As Kakashi waited, his gaze wandered around the living room, landing on the framed photographs. He couldn't help but smile. Naruko had grown so much. His eyes lingered on a particular picture, one of Shisui and himself holding a baby Naruko. A wave of nostalgia and pride washed over him. Just as Sasuke returned with the tea, Naruko entered the home, looking slightly exhausted. The sight of both Kakashi and Sasuke together made her pause, concerned that something serious had happened. However, after a brief moment, she smiled. These were 2 of the most important people in her life. What's going on here? Naruko asked, hugging Sasuke before nodding toward Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei has some news, apparently, Sasuke explained. Oh? Are we heading out on a mission today? Naruko asked eagerly. Kakashi chuckled. Not today. But there is something important you should know. It's a great honor, one I'm proud to share with you. The Anbu commander has taken an interest in you. Sasuke's eyes widened. She didn't know much about the Anbu, aside from her brother Itachi's involvement, but she understood the gravity of the situation. Her gaze shifted to Naruko, watching for a reaction. What concerned her most was the smile that slowly formed on Naruko's face. You can't actually be happy about this. Can you? Sasuke asked hesitantly. Naruko. Don't do this. Are you serious, Oji-san? Naruko asked, her excitement unmistakable. Kakashi nodded. Yes. The third Hokage informed me earlier today. My responsibility is to prepare and train you for potential recruitment, if you're interested. And since you are an Anbu captain and are now my Jonin sensei, you're the best person to oversee my development for this role, Naruko reasoned. Exactly. You don't need to decide right away. You won't be eligible until you reach Chunin rank, but if you're even slightly interested, I'll begin your training in a week. I'm all in, Oji-san, Naruko responded without hesitation. Following in Yurin Ni-san's footsteps, becoming a captain, and serving under the direct command of the Hokage, it would be an incredible honor. This is a dream come true. I know this would make Ni-san proud. Sasuke's heart sank. Naruko? Are you serious? Just like that? You'll accept without a second thought? Yes. Why wouldn't I? This is an important duty to the village, and... But it's not safe. Sasuke interrupted, her concern evident. Nothing about this path is truly safe, Sasuke-chan. But don't worry, I promise I'll always come back to you, okay? She didn't respond right away, only nodding in acknowledgement. Kakashi observed the exchange in silence, feeling a sense of surprise. That was a much faster answer than he had expected. Perhaps Naruko had always considered the possibility of joining the Anbu. It would explain her unwavering dedication to training, even after being given the freedom to step away. After all, Shisui's absence had left an impact on her. In a way, it made sense. But even so, the Anbu was no ordinary commitment. It required absolute discipline, adaptability, and resilience. Kakashi had anticipated at least a moment of hesitation before she made her decision, but there was none. She had answered immediately, without a trace of doubt. The ability to make decisive choices was critical, not just for a leader, but for any warrior. If she could carry this confidence into every aspect of her role, she would be all the more effective as a strategist, a protector, and a leader. Very well, Naruko. In 1 week, we'll begin your new training regimen. Fortunately, you already have a solid foundation, your skills and techniques are impressive. Now, it's time to refine them. However, if at any point you feel this isn't the right path for you, all you have to do is tell me. Thank you, Oji-san. Is there anything else? This isn't exactly related, but I have to ask, why do you have your Sharingan activated? I'm working on maintaining it for extended periods. I want to be able to keep it active for an entire day before needing to deactivate it, just in case I ever find myself in a situation where that ability is necessary. I see. Well then, you both take care. I'll see you in a week. Oh, and Sasuke, if you'd like to train with us, I have no objections. I'd be happy to teach you some new techniques. Hi. Thank you, Sensei, Sasuke replied, her voice subdued. Kakashi left, and Naruko waved goodbye before glancing down at Sasuke. She immediately noticed her friend's troubled expression. It pained her to see Sasuke like this, but she wasn't sure how to make things better. Sasuke-chan, why do you look so down? You don't seem to realize how dangerous this is. I don't want anything to happen to you. More than that, I don't want this to change you. It's not like that, Sasuke-chan. Please, try to understand how I see things. Naruko gently lifted Sasuke's chin so their eyes met. Sasuke knew that Naruko often struggled to express her thoughts, but this time, she was making a real effort. And despite the circumstances, A small part of Sasuke felt grateful that Naruko was trying so hard. If I join the Anbu, I'll have the ability to take on missions that could eliminate threats before they escalate. If I can contribute to peace, then maybe, just maybe, you won't have to fight anymore. Maybe we can finally live without fear, and just be happy. Naru. I want that too. But what about you? What about your safety? I don't want anything to happen to you. I know you won't like hearing this, but it's the truth. If it meant keeping you safe and happy, I would gladly. Stop. Sasuke interrupted, her voice trembling. You are not allowed to throw your life away like that. Why can't you care about yourself more? Tears welled in her eyes as she clenched her fists and pressed them against Naruko's chest. Because you are my world, Naruko said softly. She wrapped her arms around Sasuke, holding her close in an attempt to ease her distress. Deep down, she knew that Sasuke might never fully accept her perspective, but at the very least, she hoped to ease her worries, even if only a little. Maybe one day, you'll understand, Naruko murmured. Besides, there's no guarantee I'll even be accepted into Anbu. Who knows? For the rest of the day, Sasuke didn't speak to her. That silence weighed heavily on Naruko, but she understood, Sasuke needed time to process everything in her own way. The upcoming week would be long, but Naruko felt a renewed sense of motivation. A new training regimen meant fresh challenges. Lately, her training had started to feel repetitive, with the only variation being the time she sparred with Sasuke. The routine had become predictable, and without a challenge, progress became stagnant. To push herself further, she had started incorporating weights into her physical conditioning, increasing her endurance and strength. As for chakra control, she practiced daily, ensuring she maintained precise mastery over her ever-growing reserves. No matter how difficult things became, she would continue to improve. Because for her, protecting the people she loved was the most important mission of all. Hokage's office. Sandaime-sama, I have informed Naruko about the potential opportunity to join Anbu. At that moment, Hiruzen gestured, and Commander Wolf appeared. He was eager to observe how this promising candidate would react to the news. You may continue, Kakashi, Hiruzen said, and Wolf gave a nod. She is absolutely thrilled about the opportunity and wants to begin training as soon as possible, Kakashi reported. A slight smile formed beneath Wolf's mask. He had an eye for talent, and Naruko possessed some of the greatest potential he had ever encountered. She wishes to follow in my footsteps, as well as Shisui's. If only she knew she was also walking the same path as her father, Kakashi added with pride. Although no longer an active Anbu, he still held the rank of captain within the Anbu Reserve Corps. Once a shinobi joins Anbu, they are forever part of that elite unit, even if they eventually leave active duty. The rigorous training, induction ceremony, and experiences forge an unbreakable bond. Despite his confidence in Naruko, Hiruzen couldn't shake a lingering concern. However, he knew this was her path to choose, and as Hokage, he would support her decision. Sandaime-sama. If I may, Kakashi spoke again. I believe we should bypass the usual recruitment process. Perhaps we should send her to training in just 1 month. Hiruzen raised an eyebrow. Kakashi, you can't be serious. She's only 11 and has never been on a mission before, he said, clearly skeptical. Oddly, Wolf remained silent, considering the proposal. Preparing Naruko thoroughly before she ever set foot in the field could prove invaluable. I am serious, Kakashi insisted. Shisui trained her exceptionally well, and when I train her, she absorbs knowledge like a sponge. In 1 month, I believe she can graduate at the top of her class in basic training. Wolf finally broke his silence. Would you be willing to make a wager on that? Yes. If Naruko graduates at the top of her class, I want to receive compensation equivalent to 3S rank missions. If I'm wrong, I'll accept only D rank mission pay for an entire year. Interesting, Wolf mused before turning to Hiruzen. Sandaime-sama, what do you think? While I oversee the village, you are in charge of recruitment and training, Hiruzen acknowledged. You have the authority to grant a waiver allowing her to begin in a month. However, if you both sign off on this, there will be no turning back until she has completed her required service. After that, she may leave Anbu and integrate into the standard ranks with a position reflecting her skill level. Alternatively, she may choose to re-enlist and continue her service. Kakashi and Wolf exchanged glances before nodding in agreement. Both were committed to helping Naruko unlock her full potential within Anbu. Commander Wolf, have you decided which team she will be assigned to? Hiruzen asked. Wolf replied. Now led by Tenzo, this unit specializes in techniques that can help suppress the Kyuubi's chakra. Additionally, the team has sufficient knowledge of sealing techniques to provide support should any issues arise. Very well, Hiruzen approved. 3.5 weeks later. Naruko stood outside Sasuke's door, hesitating. As the day of her departure drew closer, Sasuke had become distant. They had thought there would be more time, but due to Naruko's strong commitment, she had been granted early admission into Anbu training. She wanted to talk to Sasuke, to see her smile again, but she couldn't bring herself to knock. Instead, she used the Shunshine technique to disappear, hoping that a brief moment of solitude would clear her mind. Yet, as she stood alone, a familiar sense of loneliness crept in. No matter how far she had come, why did this feeling always find its way back into her life? She was also frustrated, knowing that at this moment, she was the reason for her friend's sorrow. It seemed as though nothing could ever be straightforward for the two of them. The responsibilities of the Anbu would only add to the challenges, but she had faith that everything would fall into place. On her final day before departing for training, Kakashi visited her, expressing how proud he was and assuring her that she had great potential. He reminded her that if she ever needed support or guidance, he would always be there. Especially since he could empathize with her struggles and understood the obstacles she would face. With only 3 hours remaining before her departure, Naruko once again found herself standing outside Sasuke's door. She wanted to knock, but hesitation held her back, and instead, she turned away. What she didn't realize was that Sasuke was on the other side, leaning against the door, waiting for that very knock. She had hoped Naruko would summon the courage, but as she heard footsteps retreating down the hallway, she knew she had to act before it was too late. It would be months before they would see each other again. By the time Naruko graduated, their next meeting wouldn't be until the formal graduation ceremony. That same night, she would leave again for the Anbu induction, an event held in strict privacy. Afterward, they would have more opportunities to see each other, but that felt like a distant future. Unable to hold back any longer, Sasuke flung open the door, only to be met with Naruko's surprised gaze. They both froze, realizing that they had the same thought. Naruko had turned back at the last moment, unwilling to leave without seeing her one last time. Tears welled up in Sasuke's eyes as she leapt into Naruko's arms, holding on tightly as if time itself could be stopped by their embrace. Naruko held her just as firmly, her hands gently moving along Sasuke's back, as if trying to memorize every moment. Their hearts raced, their breaths unsteady. Naruko slowly leaned forward, resting her forehead against Sasuke's, their noses brushing as the moment deepened. The space between them grew smaller, and as their lips inched closer together, they felt a nervous yet exhilarating anticipation. Just then, a soft click echoed through the hallway, followed by quiet giggles. Startled, they turned their heads toward the living room entrance, where Kakashi stood grinning mischievously, holding a camera. Beside him, Yugao and Hiruzen watched with amused expressions. Sasuke's face turned bright red, while Naruko groaned in frustration. Before Kakashi could take another picture, Naruko swiftly carried Sasuke into her room and shut the door firmly behind them. Pressing her gently against the door, Naruko held her close. Sasuke, still wrapped around her, smiled shyly before they finally closed the gap, sharing a gentle, heartfelt kiss. Time seemed to slow as they remained there, lost in the moment. When they finally pulled away, both were smiling. "I think I like this," Sasuke whispered, slightly nervous. Naruko chuckled softly, brushing a strand of hair from Sasuke's face before giving her another quick kiss. "I think I do too," she murmured, her voice warm and affectionate. Sasuke giggled, playfully poking Naruko's cheek. "Well then, you better keep kissing me, Naru-chan. We still have a couple of hours." "As you wish, Sasuke-chan," Naruko replied with a grin before leaning in once more. Time passed as they simply enjoyed each other's company, cherishing every second. Naruko eventually guided Sasuke onto the bed, making sure she was comfortable before continuing to plant soft kisses on her forehead, her cheek, and then back to her lips. Meanwhile, outside the room, Yugao raised an eyebrow. "So, do you think they'll stay in there for the next few hours?" Kakashi crossed his arms, smirking. "Should we, maybe step in before they get too carried away?" Hiruzen shook his head, sighing at their antics. "Relax. They're young, and all they understand right now is how much they enjoy being close to each other. Let them have their moment." Back in the room, Naruko and Sasuke eventually realized that time was slipping away. Though Sasuke protested, wanting just a little more time together, Naruko knew she had to leave soon. However, she promised that as soon as she returned, they would have more moments like this. Before she could stand up, Sasuke playfully pulled her back down, stealing another minute of affectionate kisses before finally letting her go. They stood up together, Naruko wrapping an arm around Sasuke's waist as they stepped out of the room, only to be reminded that they weren't alone. "Oh. Right. You guys are still here," Naruko said sheepishly, rubbing the back of her head. Kakashi smirked. "So, care to share what happened in there?" Sasuke and Naruko exchanged a look before simultaneously rolling their eyes. Some things were best left unspoken. A private conversation. "Oh. We talked," Naruko responded, though even she found it hard to believe her own words. Meanwhile, Sasuke was blushing furiously, avoiding eye contact with everyone around her. "Uh-huh. Talked," Yugao said, making air quotes. "Your lips were moving, but I highly doubt it was just for conversation." She grinned mischievously, eager to tease her soon-to-be squadmate. "Enough, you two," Hiruzen interjected with a knowing smile. "Naruko, we're glad you and Sasuke were able to reconnect before your departure. The path ahead will be difficult, but together, I believe you two can accomplish great things. However, it is time. Yugao will escort you to meet the commander, who will then take you to a secure location for training. Understood?" "Hi. I'm ready, Gigi," Naruko replied with determination. She turned to Sasuke, giving her a brief but affectionate kiss before stepping away to join Yugao. With a final wave, the two vanished from sight. A single tear slipped down Sasuke's cheek as she gazed at the empty space where Naruko had just stood. But almost instantly, a joyful warmth bubbled up within her, and she smiled, feeling giddy like a child receiving their favorite treat. A pleasant, tingling sensation lingered, though she pushed it to the back of her mind. Kakashi placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I'm going to miss her too. But you're still my student. If you're up for it, I'd be happy to train you while she's away. Who knows? Maybe you'll be able to surpass her in a spar." Sasuke's face lit up with excitement before she absent-mindedly muttered, "And then I could make her." Her words trailed off as realization hit, and she paled. Kakashi chuckled. "No need to panic, Sasuke. You're both growing, learning, and experiencing new things. It's a normal part of life. That's why it's so amusing for the rest of us, because now we get to tease you just as we were once teased." Sasuke groaned, burying her face in her hands. Kakashi smirked. "Maybe I should introduce Naruko to some of my Uchiha books." "No, perhaps not just yet." Yugao and Naruko. As Naruko and Yugao walked along a secluded path outside the village, Yugao cast her a sly glance. "So, my little Kohai, how was it?" she asked. "How was what?" Naruko replied, feigning innocence. "You know." Naruko hesitated before finally admitting, "Oh. It was nice." A soft smile crossed her face. "Something I never expected." Her lips. The feeling. Wait, she abruptly stopped, realizing what she had just said aloud. A blush spread across her face. Yugao laughed before playfully wrapping her arm around Naruko's neck in a light headlock, giving her a gentle noogie. "Ha ha. That's adorable. But focus, alright? What you're about to undertake won't be easy, and distractions won't do you any favors." "I understand," Naruko said, regaining her composure. "Do you enjoy being in the Anbu?" "Yes. I've never once regretted my decision to join." Naruko nodded thoughtfully. 3 months of training. It's going to be a long road. "It'll be over before you know it," Yugao reassured her. "The real challenge begins when you're assigned to a squad. The training now is just preparation, the real tests come later. That said, I'm expecting you to graduate at the top. Got it?" "I won't let you down," Naruko promised before hesitating slightly. "Yugao?" "Yeah? Thank you. For everything? I'm really grateful that you and my brother met, and that you've looked after me." Yugao softened. "Me too, Naruko." They soon arrived at their destination, where Commander Wolf was waiting. He dismissed Yugao before leading Naruko to the secret Anbu training facility. Anbu training begins. Upon arrival, Naruko was issued 2 pairs of white combat pants, black boots, and sleeveless compression shirts. Once outfitted, she completed the necessary medical evaluations and paperwork. "All right," the officer in charge announced, "you're the last recruit to arrive. Training begins at 0400 sharp." "Hi," Naruko responded with a firm nod. As she stepped through the double doors into what she expected to be a standard training hall, she found herself in an open field instead. The door behind her had vanished, and before her stood 9 other recruits, all significantly taller and older. The youngest among them appeared to be at least 19, while Naruko, only 11, stood out immediately. The group observed her with curiosity as she approached. Suddenly, a gust of wind signaled the arrival of a figure behind her. A man, likely in his early 20s, pressed a kunai to her throat. "So, kid. What's a youngster like you doing here?" he asked with a smirk. Naruko remained calm. "Same reason as everyone else." The man raised an eyebrow. Pretty composed for someone with a blade at their neck. He nudged the kunai forward, only for it to phase through Naruko's form, revealing it to be an illusion. "That's because that isn't me," Naruko's voice came from behind him. Her gaze was sharp and unwavering, and she now held a kunai at his throat instead. The man, crouched from his previous attempt to intimidate her, found himself at a disadvantage. Before he could react, Naruko flicked her wrist, and his form crumbled into earth. An earth clone? Could be useful. "Right back at you." The real attacker suddenly appeared from the right, bringing his sword down, only for Naruko's body to disperse into dust as well. "What the? You really don't know much about the Uchiha, do you?" Naruko remarked, her voice laced with mild disappointment. "A shame, really. Carelessly performed ninjutsu like that won't work on me." A female recruit, watching the exchange, finally spoke. Her eyes. Such power at such a young age. Naruko met her gaze. "I awakened them at 4. Mastered them by 5. I don't like relying on them, so I rarely use them. But that will change." "That's impossible," the man muttered in disbelief. Naruko simply smirked. Training had only just begun. "No, I'm not the only one to have achieved this. Shisui Uchiha, a former Anbu captain, also attained this level." Even awakening such an advanced stage, Naruko stated, her eyes glowing a deep crimson, radiating an immense power rarely witnessed within the ocular Kekkei Genkai. "However, I am now the youngest to have fully unlocked my visual prowess. Never underestimate an opponent based on appearance. You may regret it next time." Her voice turned cold, stripping away any notion of innocence and replacing it with an undeniable aura of dominance. "You're nothing without those eyes, Uchiha," the challenger roared, charging at her. However, to everyone's astonishment, her eyes reverted to their natural black hue as she engaged in combat without relying on the Sharingan. Many believe an Uchiha's strength diminishes without their Sharingan. And while that may be true for most, I am not like the others. Naruko skillfully countered, nearly landing a decisive strike. Her opponent barely evaded it with a last-minute substitution, though not unscathed. His chest now bore a fresh cut. "TCH. Troublesome kid," the attacker muttered, hurling kunai toward her. Yet, the Naruko in front of him vanished, replaced by a wooden log. "What? What is this?" he blurted out in confusion. A soft chuckle escaped her lips. "TSK TSK. You fell for such a basic genjutsu. False surroundings, a rather simple illusion. Tell me, what skill level are you at?" Her voice was devoid of emotion, making it clear she was merely toying with him. "I'll defeat you. If you can find me first." Naruko clasped her hands together. "Teleportation jutsu." The onlookers. "That kid is incredible." "Yeah. And that's without the Sharingan. Imagine her potential in a few years," commented a young woman with brown hair, appearing to be around 19. A nearby man, roughly 20, furrowed his brows. "Did she just say teleportation jutsu? What is she trying to pull?" The woman's expression turned serious. "If it's what I think it is, you're about to witness the very technique that made Shisui Uchiha legendary." Naruko's next move. Naruko dashed to her right, and suddenly, two more clones appeared at her sides. Then, in an instant, several more materialized, forming a wide arc around the attacker. 7 identical versions of her now stood before him. "Is this a genjutsu?" he muttered, hesitating. The clones steadily closed in. "Earth spikes." He swiftly summoned jagged spikes from the ground, impaling each Naruko, yet nothing happened. The illusions continued advancing. What is this?" One clone smirked. "My clones are different." Before he could react, a clone struck him. Then another. A relentless onslaught followed as he struggled to break free, enduring hit after hit until he finally escaped the barrage. "Who are you?" he demanded breathlessly. "Naruko Uchiha, cousin of Shisui Uchiha, apprentice of Kakashi Hatake, Yugao Uzuki, and Itachi Uchiha. I advise you never to challenge me again." "Wha?" Before he could finish his thought, Naruko materialized before him and delivered a swift, decisive blow with the hilt of her tanto, knocking him unconscious. A man, seemingly an acquaintance of the defeated fighter, stepped forward. "Impressive list. I apologize for his actions. He's always been hot-headed." He extended a hand. "I'm Theo." Naruko gave a nod. "Nice to meet you. But keep him in check, or next time, things might not go as well for him." With that, she turned and walked away. Once out of sight, she pressed a hand over her eyes. She had masked it well, but now, she could no longer conceal the strain. Her Mangekyo Sharingan burned with an intense sensation. Unfamiliar and overwhelming, the pain was unlike anything she had felt before. A sudden touch on her shoulder made her spin around, kunai in hand, poised to strike. "Relax, kid." It was the young woman from before, unfazed by the blade at her throat. "The name's Ria. I know of you and your clan. You're dealing with something, aren't you?" Naruko's expression hardened. "And how would you know?" Ria's gaze softened. "I had friends from the Uchiha clan. They told me that when they first awakened their Sharingan, they felt different, colder, detached. But you've had yours for 7 years. You should be fine." Naruko sighed. "It's complicated. I don't know. And honestly, I don't need a therapist." "I wasn't trying to be," Ria replied. "I was just impressed. For someone so young, Your skill is remarkable. Are you finished? I prefer to be alone. Ria frowned. Oh, so you beat one guy and now think you're untouchable? I actually thought you were different from the others, but you're just as arrogant. Naruko's expression remained unreadable. That's not what I meant. I was saying, you wouldn't understand why I became this way. Even I don't fully understand it. As for my strength, I had no choice. I was forced to train from sunrise to sunset. Because there were always people after me. Ria hesitated. Oh. I didn't mean. It's fine. Just leave. It's better this way. No one is safe around me. What do you mean? You really don't know me, do you? Naruko was genuinely surprised. Nearly everyone she had ever encountered held some sort of opinion about her, typically negative. Well, I know you're an Uchiha, and I've heard a lot about your cousin. But beyond that, I don't really know much about you, the girl admitted. Naruko studied her carefully, trying to determine if she was being truthful. There was no way to be absolutely certain, but she couldn't think of a reason for her to lie. You've never heard anything? Naruko still found it hard to believe. If you're asking whether I dislike you like so many others do, then no, I don't. I've heard the rumors, the way people call you a demon, but I don't see you that way. Right now, I have no reason to hold anything against you. Then you should at least understand that anyone associated with me becomes a target for that same prejudice, Naruko warned. Her companion's eyes widened as realization dawned. She started piecing together why Naruko was always alone whenever she saw her in the village. It wasn't often, but whenever their paths crossed, Naruko always seemed distant and isolated. That explains why you always keep to yourself. Exactly. It's just easier that way. Well, that's unnecessary now. I'll be your friend, if you'll allow it. We're going to be Anbu in a few months, and I can take care of myself. You don't need to worry about me. Naruko hesitated for a moment before responding. Sure. I guess. Now, tell me, why were you in pain earlier? I may be the youngest to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. But I've never actually used it. When I activate it, it feels like my eyes are burning. That makes sense. But why don't you use it? Do you know how it's awakened? She asked, glancing at Naruko. You mentioned having a few Uchiha friends. They never had it. Or even knew much about it. That's why I was curious. Right. They did say it was extremely rare. Well, it manifests through the loss of someone you love. These eyes hold great power, but they also carry my sorrow. The Sharingan is often described as the reflection of an Uchiha's emotions, their love, their pain. Everything is mirrored within them. I see. Red represents love, black signifies pain. That's why the Sharingan is predominantly red, while the Mangekyo appears darker. Naruko nodded. Her companion's understanding wasn't entirely accurate, but it was close enough. It was a complex subject, and for now, she saw no need to correct her. Hokage's office. Look at that, already a battle, and she won, Commander Wolf observed, watching the scene unfold through Hiruzen's crystal ball. She could have ended it much sooner, Hiruzen remarked. However, I fear that in the intensity of battle, she may gradually be drawn toward a darker path. She exercised impressive restraint, Kakashi noted. Had she kept her Sharingan activated, things might have escalated further. I believe she deactivated it not because of what others think, but to ensure she remained in control. Hiruzen sighed, concern evident in his expression. Was this truly the right decision? What if the other Anbu react negatively once she officially joins their ranks? Sandaime-sama, you know the Anbu are loyal to both you and the Yondaime before you, Commander Wolf reassured him. Many of them respect Naruko and care about her in their own way. They won't go easy on her, but none harbor any ill intent. Then how do you explain that? Hiruzen questioned, his concern lingering. A recruit's confidence can sometimes be mistaken for arrogance. He may be a Chunin, but he has his own perspectives. As for the others, they neither interfered nor provoked Naruko. After witnessing her abilities, even without the Sharingan, they will think twice before making any rash decisions. Wolf stated, easing the Hokage's concerns. On top of that, it seems she has made a new friend. I wonder how Sasuke will react. Kakashi commented, continuing to observe through the crystal ball. His quiet chuckle prompted even Hiruzen and Wolf to share a brief moment of amusement. I apologize for doubting your recruits, Wolf. It's just that she is. I understand, Sandaime-sama. I may not always show it, but I care about her as well. Yondaime-sama was a dear friend. Hiruzen and Kakashi nodded in agreement. Minato had been an exceptional shinobi, a remarkable leader, and, above all, a steadfast friend. Yugao, having overheard Naruko listing her among her teachers, couldn't help but smile with pride. Though her identity remained concealed due to her Anbu status, those familiar with her knew she was one of the finest swordswomen in the village. 3 months later. Naruko stood at the front of the formation, ranked first in her class, having outperformed her peers in nearly every category. As the graduation ceremony approached, the atmosphere among the recruits was celebratory, though Naruko herself remained composed, her emotions barely visible. Daily sparring and constant competition had honed their skills, but being the top recruit also made Naruko a primary target. Many found it difficult to accept that an 11-year-old could surpass them so effortlessly. Despite her smaller stature, she was faster, more agile, and tactically superior. While she may not have been the strongest in raw physical power, her speed and precision more than compensated for it. From the age of 4, she had trained under the village's finest, refining her skills against elite warriors. This experience allowed her to hold her own against even Chunin-level opponents. While her adversaries may have had more experience, in controlled training exercises, Naruko's superior reflexes and strategy enabled her to overcome them with remarkable efficiency. The training courses were among the most rigorous imaginable, yet Naruko shattered every record. In every challenge, she set new benchmarks, reducing previous times by half. The leaderboard of top 5 record holders read as follows. 1. Naruko Uchiha. 2. Minato Uchiha. 3. Shisui Uchiha. 4. Itachi Uchiha. 5. Kakashi Hatake. Naruko also ranked first in Kenjutsu, Genjutsu, and Taijutsu, though her victory in the latter was a narrow one. Ria, a fellow recruit, nearly claimed the top spot but exhausted herself before she could break through Naruko's defenses. In ninjutsu, however, Naruko ranked second, with Ria taking the lead due to her broader repertoire of techniques. That said, while Ria knew more jutsu, Naruko had perfected hers to the point where she could execute them with minimal chakra and, in many cases, a single hand sign. This raised the age-old debate: was it better to have a vast arsenal of techniques or complete mastery of a select few? Kakashi, for instance, had copied over 1,000 jutsu, yet only truly mastered a handful. Naruko's approach was different. Though she possessed fewer jutsu, her unparalleled mastery allowed her to execute them with extreme efficiency. Theo, ranked third, was a skilled taijutsu and ninjutsu practitioner. His kenjutsu was competent by Onbu standards, and his genjutsu was serviceable. Meanwhile, the recruit who had previously attacked Naruko had been discharged after sustaining an injury that prevented him from continuing. Despite being the youngest and smallest in the platoon, Naruko had earned the respect of her comrades, dispelling any doubts they had about her abilities. The recruits had yet to receive their Onbu insignias, which would be bestowed upon them in a formal ceremony attended by their loved ones. It was during this event that they would also receive their masks, gear, and uniforms before reporting to their assigned squads. This ceremony was particularly significant, as the entire Onbu force would be present. Given the strict training regimen, there had been no contact with the outside world, meaning that the only way to confirm Naruko's success was to witness it firsthand. Normally, the full Onbu gathering took place only during the official induction ceremony, which included a bonfire and team bonding activities. However, This case was exceptional. With such an esteemed audience, perfection was expected. The recruits needed to deliver an outstanding performance to ensure their efforts were honored and their presence respected. Though Naruko had yet to fully tap into the abilities of her Mangekyo Sharingan, she had begun gradually familiarizing herself with its visual prowess. Currently, she could maintain its activation for only 2 minutes before the strain became overwhelming. Naruko's return, a new beginning. The thoughts of Sasuke lingered in Naruko's mind constantly during her time away, and she deeply missed her. The anticipation of seeing and embracing her again in just a few days filled her with quiet excitement. Though she maintained a composed demeanor, a rare smile slowly broke through the mask of indifference she often wore. What could possibly make our ever-stoic captain smile? Theo teased, eyeing her with curiosity. A smile? No way. Ria added playfully, jumping in front of Naruko to see for herself. The entire platoon turned their attention toward their captain, stunned by the unexpected display of emotion. Naruko was known for her unwavering composure, always serious, always focused. This was something entirely new. I bet she's got someone special waiting for her, Nomura speculated. At 20, he had a habit of flirting with Ria, who found him irritating but secretly enjoyed the attention. Be quiet, Nomura, Ria shot back, rolling her eyes. Whatever you say. So, Captain, am I right? Got yourself a special someone waiting back home? Naruko remained silent, her serene smile serving as its own confirmation. The squad exchanged surprised glances, no words were needed. You hardly express yourself and barely talk. How did you end up in a relationship? Theo muttered, slightly exasperated. He had never been particularly lucky in that regard. That's not what matters, Naruko responded calmly. Understanding each other is what's important. With that, she turned and walked toward her quarters to finish packing. Standing before the mirror, she reflected on the journey ahead. Soon, she would officially be a member of the Anbu. Even when we learn something new about her, she remains as reserved as ever, Nomura remarked. Well, what else should we expect? She's never really been any different, Theo replied. I don't know. Maybe she's not as distant as she seems, Ria mused. Maybe only those truly close to her get to see the real Naruko. You're not the Naruko whisperer, Ria, Nomura scoffed. Then, flashing a hopeful grin, he added, but now that we're about to graduate, how about we celebrate? Just you and me? He waggled his eyebrows. For a brief moment, Ria appeared to consider the offer, stepping closer to him. Not a chance, she declared before playfully knocking him backward several feet. Dash. Training Ground 7. Sasuke panted heavily, catching her breath after an intense sparring session with Kakashi. She had grown considerably stronger, now able to hold her own against him for a solid 5 minutes. Though she had yet to awaken her Sharingan, she knew that when the time came, her body would be well prepared for its first tomoe. Naruko's graduation is in a couple of days. Excited? Kakashi asked, tossing her a water bottle. I can't wait, she admitted. The house hasn't felt the same without her. At least we'll finally have her back, he agreed. As Sasuke took a sip of water, her thoughts drifted to what she should do to mark the occasion. Should she bring a gift? What would be meaningful? And what would they do once she returned? Naruko would be with the Anbu that night, so they wouldn't have much time together right away. Sensei? We should get Naruko a gift. But I have no idea what to give her. I've been thinking the same thing, Kakashi admitted. Honestly, just seeing you there with a smile will make her happy. But you're right, this is a special day. What happens at the ceremony? They'll announce the top graduate and the class rankings, there will be a short speech, and finally, they'll place the Anbu insignia on each recruit, officially marking their entry into the unit. Wow! How do you think she ranked? I'd bet she's number 1. Sasuke smiled at the thought. She knew Naruko was talented, far beyond her own abilities, but to secure the top position among an elite class seemed almost unbelievable. Then again, those entering Anbu were bound to be exceptionally skilled. Her mind wandered again, this time to the idea of seeing Naruko after so long. And maybe even sharing another kiss. Hokage's office. Sandaime-sama, all preparations for the ceremony are complete. The recruits will be officially inducted in just a couple of days. Is there anything you require? No, Wolf. Everything is in order. Thank you, Hiruzen replied. How has Naruko-kun been performing? I couldn't say, Wolf admitted. I am not her instructor, and we are not permitted to communicate during the training cycles. But I have no doubt she has done exceptionally well. I believe you're right. Oh, and this time, the entire Anbu force will be attending. What? Hiruzen raised an eyebrow. They want to witness her achievement firsthand, and see where she ranks. Hiruzen nodded in understanding. With everything finalized, all that remained was to wait for the ceremony. 2 days later, Sasuke sat in the stands alongside Kakashi and Yugao, surrounded by a gathering of Anbu operatives and the loved ones of the recruits. She had expected more members to attend, yet the turnout seemed to be around 250, still a significant number. The anticipation in the air was palpable. In just moments, Naruko and her fellow recruits would officially become part of the elite Anbu ranks. And Sasuke couldn't wait to see her again. I can't believe the entire Anbu force is here, Sasuke remarked, glancing around in awe. We were eager to see how our young recruit performed. We don't receive updates during the training cycles, and we couldn't wait until tonight, so we decided to come now, Yugao explained, her excitement evident as she awaited the results. I really hope she won me my bet. Kakashi muttered, though it was clear he was proud of Naruko regardless of the outcome. It was a great honor to be among those who operated in the shadows. The crowd gradually quieted as they sensed the arrival of the Hokage, accompanied by Commander Wolf. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being here, the Hokage began. Before we commence the ceremony, I want to express what a tremendous honor it is for your loved ones to join the ranks of the Anbu. Each candidate here was personally selected by Commander Wolf before being sent into training. Out of the 50 individuals chosen, only 15 are graduating today. Their training was rigorous, pushing them beyond their previous limits. Every graduate here has already attained the rank of Chunin, meaning they are well acquainted with the realities of the ninja world. However, only once in Anbu's history has someone graduated before even joining a Jinan team. Before I continue speaking about this exceptional class, I must commend the Anbu instructors under Commander Wolf's leadership. They have done a remarkable job, and this is perhaps the most impressive class I have ever seen. Now, I will turn things over to Commander Wolf. Thank you. As the Hokage stepped back, the audience applauded, their anticipation building. The statement about a graduate earning their place without ever being on a Jinan team intrigued many, especially those unfamiliar with the Anbu. When Commander Wolf stepped forward, the audience quieted once more. Sasuke trembled with excitement, eager to hear how Naruko had performed and to see her again soon. Yugao, equally thrilled, held Sasuke's hand, partly out of excitement and partly to keep her from rushing forward. Kakashi, observing the scene, smiled to himself, just as anxious to learn the results. Greetings, families and guests, Commander Wolf addressed them. I am Wolf, commander of the 3rd Anbu Battalion. From the 50 candidates I initially selected, I saw glimpses of great potential. However, I never expected all of them to make it, as Anbu is a selective and elite force for a reason. I have reviewed the results, and after hearing the high praise from the Hokage himself, I can confidently say that this group has exceeded expectations. The families of the graduates erupted into cheers, celebrating their loved ones' accomplishments. While the Anbu members remained composed, their anticipation grew as they waited to learn how the Yondaime Hokage's legacy had fared. Before I announce the top-ranked recruit, let me be clear, this is only the beginning. The challenges ahead will be far more demanding than anything they have faced in training. We prepare them as best as we can, but real missions bring unpredictable dangers. As Anbu, we take on the most difficult assignments, requiring unwavering resolve and skill. Each of these recruits has accepted this responsibility, and today, they will officially step into their new roles. Now, without further delay, the top-ranked recruit of this class is Uchiha Naruko. At just 11 years old, she is the second in Anbu history to achieve this milestone at such a young age. The Anbu members clapped in recognition of Naruko's achievement. Many had expected her to graduate, but ranking at the very top was a surprise. At just 11 years old, her potential seemed boundless. Even Itachi Uchiha, an Anbu prodigy in his own right, had not been the number one recruit at that age, he had placed second. Sasuke was on the verge of leaping in excitement, but Yugao and Kakashi held her back, both sharing in her joy. Kakashi, who had placed a bet on Naruko's success, was pleased not only for the outcome but also for Naruko herself. His pride in her accomplishment far outweighed any winnings. Yugao, equally proud, was eager to welcome Naruko into her squad. The rest of Squad Rho, who would soon be Naruko's comrades, exchanged glances of admiration and anticipation. Uchiha Naruko has shattered nearly every record in Anbu history. She holds the fastest times in all obstacle courses, endurance tests, swimming trials, and physical assessments. She surpassed every recruit in Genjutsu and Kenjutsu and ranked first in Taijutsu. The only category where she placed second was Ninjutsu, just behind Ria Meno, who was a close second in all other areas but fell short in Taijutsu. Naruko's performance has been unparalleled, and her potential is limitless. Congratulations to Uchiha Naruko. A stunned silence filled the air. The families in attendance momentarily struggled to place Naruko's name, until realization dawned upon them. As they recalled how she had been treated in the past, many felt a deep sense of shame. If she truly possessed such skill and had never acted against them despite everything, it proved she was nothing like the rumors that had once surrounded her. Among the Anbu, shock and admiration rippled through the ranks. No one had ever come close to matching the Yondaime's records. Shisui Uchiha had been the closest, yet even he had been outclassed by the fourth Hokage. Sasuke, Yugao, and Kakashi were speechless. Kakashi, in particular, found himself questioning just how much Naruko had held back during their training sessions, especially in terms of her speed. Breaking the silence, Tenzo, captain of Squad Rho and known by his codename Tiger, spoke up. By how much did she surpass the records? Commander Wolf smiled with pride before answering. She completed every event in half the time of the Yondaime Hokage. And she did so without using her Sharingan or the body flicker technique. Another wave of stunned silence followed. If this was Naruko's natural ability without enhancements, the thought of her fighting at full capacity was almost inconceivable. At this rate, the only advantage anyone held over her was experience. And once she gained that, there would be few, if any, who could stand against her in a one-on-one battle. Now that we've all had a moment to process this, let us proceed with the ceremony and formally welcome our new Anbu operatives, Wolf announced, bringing the attention back to the recruits. The ceremony was about to begin, and all eyes were on the young prodigy, Uchiha Naruko. 2 lines of 7 recruits emerged, standing shoulder to shoulder with unwavering discipline. At the forefront, positioned squarely before them, stood Naruko. Her Sharingan eyes gleamed with intensity, the intricate tomoe swirling in a mesmerizing pattern. A genjutsu? This entire time? An Anbu operative voiced in astonishment. Yes, as I mentioned before, she has surpassed every other candidate in this field, another affirmed. That may be true, but that level of mastery should be impossible. How did she? Tiger, also known as Tenzo, struggled to find the words. She is an Uchiha, and her expertise in genjutsu is second only to Shisui Uchiha. However, I firmly believe that within a few years, she will surpass even him. The gathered Anbu members exchanged silent nods of agreement. Only Shisui had ever demonstrated the ability to ensnare such a large group within a genjutsu so seamlessly, and even for him, it had been an arduous task. Yet, Naruko, as the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, wielded power that enabled her to accomplish this feat without succumbing to exhaustion. As the solemn atmosphere settled, both the Anbu commander and the Hokage stepped forward. Naruko responded immediately, standing at attention and offering a crisp salute. The onlookers observed as Hiruzen Sarutobi meticulously applied the Anbu tattoo onto Naruko's left shoulder. Uchiha Naruko, from this moment forward, you are an Anbu under my direct command. Serve the village and Commander Wolf with unwavering dedication. With another respectful salute, Naruko turned to face Wolf. Tiger. Step forward. In a blur of movement, Tenzo materialized beside Wolf. This is your captain. He will provide you with your directives. Follow them accordingly after your visitation period. Tenzo extended a folder containing her orders. As they exchanged salutes for the first time, Tenzo could sense Naruko's excitement through her eyes, even as her expression remained composed. He knew how much Kakashi had spoken highly of her, and seeing her reach this milestone filled him with pride. One by one, the other recruits followed suit, each receiving their orders from their respective captains and being marked with the insignia that solidified their commitment to the Anbu Corps. You are no longer recruits. From today onward, you are Anbu. I look forward to witnessing the great work you will accomplish within your squads, Wolf declared. You are now dismissed for visitation. There are designated facilities where you may spend time with your loved ones before your assignments begin. Thank you. With that, the commander and the Hokage disappeared in a flicker of movement, observing from afar. For a moment, silence hung in the air. Then, Naruko turned to face her fellow recruits. With a resolute nod, every single one of them launched a fireball into the sky in unison. Dismissed, Naruko announced. Immediately, the recruits dispersed, sprinting toward the stands where their families awaited them. Yet, Naruko remained still. She had achieved what she had set out to do, securing the top rank. So why did she feel an emptiness lingering within her? Should she not feel overjoyed? The surrounding Anbu noticed her hesitation and understood without words. Now was not the time to address it, but they would in due course. For the moment, only those closest to her, Yugao and Kakashi, remained at her side. Sasuke, not being an Anbu, had also been permitted to join them. After a brief pause, Naruko turned to face the three. A smile graced her lips as she stepped forward, embracing Kakashi and Yugao. Then, with barely a moment's hesitation, she rushed toward Sasuke, and the two enveloped each other in a tight embrace. Lifting Sasuke off the ground, Naruko spun her around, prompting tears of joy to well up in Sasuke's eyes. Naruko gazed at her before pressing a brief kiss to her lips. Sasuke, however, pouted when Naruko pulled away too soon. There are people watching, Sasuke-chan, Naruko chuckled. So? Sasuke huffed. They don't matter. All I see is you. She leaned in again, this time lingering longer before Naruko gently pulled away. I promise we'll have time together tomorrow. I'll make it up to you, okay? You better. It's been 3 months. You owe me, Sasuke said with playful indignation. Naruko smiled, keeping an arm wrapped around Sasuke as she turned back to Kakashi and Yugao. They were both smiling, a rare moment of warmth between warriors who had seen too much. Congratulations, Naruko. I have something for you, Kakashi said, producing a small box. Curious, Naruko opened it, revealing a uniquely crafted 3-pronged kunai. It was unlike any she had seen before, yet something about it felt familiar. She twirled it in her hand before noticing the kanji engraved on the handle. Her eyes widened in recognition. Wait. This is? It belonged to my sensei, Kakashi explained. He entrusted it to me when I became a jonin. Your sensei was the 4th Hokage? Why didn't you ever mention this before? He's my hero. Naruko's excitement was palpable. Holding a weapon once wielded by the legendary Yondaime Hokage, renowned for his unmatched speed and the Flying Thunder God technique, was almost surreal. That's right, Naruko. There's something we need to discuss with the Sandaime Hokage, but that can wait a few days. Also, do you remember that book on Fuinjutsu I gave you? Yes. Why? Have you been studying it? I've reached level 3, but I'll need a tutor for the more advanced concepts since they can be dangerous. Why? Oh, no reason. Kakashi mused, a knowing look in his eye. I wonder if she could learn the Hiraishin in a few years. Naruko sensed there was more to his words but decided to let it rest. For now, she was simply overjoyed by the moment. Thank you, Kakashi. I don't think anyone can top this gift, she said with gratitude. Yugao smirked. Oh? Is that a challenge? She handed Naruko another small box. Opening it, Naruko found a meticulously crafted sword maintenance kit, along with 2 chakra-conductive kunai. Thank you. I really needed a new kit. Are these? Yes, these are chakra-conductive kunai, Yugao said with a warm smile. She knew her gift might not compare to Kakashi's, but seeing Naruko genuinely appreciate it made her happy. Sasuke hesitantly handed Naruko a small box, feeling nervous. She couldn't help but worry that her gift wouldn't measure up. Naruko smiled reassuringly, which helped ease Sasuke's nerves. Inside the box was a handmade necklace featuring a black lace-like material with 6 platinum tomoe carefully secured in place. Naruko immediately put it on and pulled Sasuke into a grateful hug. It's designed to symbolize your connection to the Uchiha through the tomoe of the Sharingan. I really hope you like it. Sasuke-chan, I love it. Thank you so much. Naruko hugged her tightly. Naru-kun. Naru-kun? What an adorable nickname. A familiar voice chimed in, catching Naruko's attention. She turned to see Ria, Theo, and Nomura approaching with their families. So, this is the person who's been occupying your thoughts these past few days, Nomura teased. Nomura, be quiet. Ria playfully smacked him on the back of the head. Well, everyone, these are some of the friends I made. Theo, Nomura, Ria, meet Kakashi, Yugao, and Sasuke-chan. So, the last 2 Uchiha together. That makes sense. Nomura commented, earning a collective eye roll from the group. Wait. You were serious about who trained you? Theo asked, finally speaking up. Of course. What reason would I have to lie? Naruko responded. No wonder you were so skilled, it all makes sense now. Theo was in awe. He turned to Kakashi with newfound respect. Kakashi-sama, it's truly an honor. Please, just call me Kakashi, he replied casually, waving his hand dismissively. Formalities had never been his style. As they spent time together, Naruko's new friends got to see a different side of her. Around Kakashi and Yugao, she was more lighthearted and relaxed. However, the most notable change was with Sasuke. She was attentive, caring, and protective, always remaining aware of their surroundings to ensure Sasuke's safety. It was interesting for the group to witness this side of Naruko, contrasting the serious and composed demeanor she often displayed during training. I can't believe the age differences between you and everyone else, Naru-kun. Haha, yeah. Ria here is the second youngest at 19. The rest are between 20 and 22. We were planning on teasing the kid until she, completely outmatched Theo's friend. Nomura chuckled. What exactly happened? Yugao asked sweetly, though there was a hint of curiosity that made Naruko shiver. Hey, I was the one who got attacked first. Naruko defended herself. Later that night, Naruko arrived at her designated location, the Anbu headquarters. She made her way to the armory, where she was greeted by an Anbu operative wearing a pig-shaped mask alongside Commander Wolf. The masked operative handed Naruko 4 sets of uniforms, each consisting of black combat pants, black sleeveless compression shirts, 2 gray Anbu chest plates, and 4 pairs of black 3/4 length compression arm sleeves. Additionally, she received 2 pairs of gray armored forearm guards that attached from the wrist to the elbow, secured with adjustable straps. Completing the set were black gloves reinforced with metal plating on the backhand and 2 pairs of sturdy black boots. To prepare for various conditions, She was also provided with 2 black cloaks designed for rainy weather or specialized missions. Although standard Anbu equipment included a sword, Naruko already possessed a tanto and a shoulder sheath, making an additional weapon unnecessary. Commander Wolf then handed Naruko her Anbu mask, which bore the image of a fox. When on duty, you will be known as Fox. You must address your fellow Anbu by their designated code names, which correspond to their masks. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Good. Now, report to your assigned squad. Naruko navigated through the headquarters until she reached a locker room marked with the symbol Rho. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside. The room was silent, with all squad members already in uniform and wearing their masks. As soon as the door shut behind her, she sensed another presence. Tiger stood just behind her. Feeling an immediate shift in the atmosphere, Naruko instinctively activated her Sharingan, her muscles tensing as she prepared for potential confrontation. Slowly, she reached for her tanto but paused before drawing it. Is this how things are going to be? No introductions, just immediate hostility? Naruko questioned, her gaze fixed on Tiger, who remained behind her. Interesting. What makes you feel threatened right now? Tiger inquired, casually holding a kunai. For starters, you're standing behind me. Secondly, I can see the kunai in your hand reflected in that katana over there. A few feet away, a katana rested against a locker. While the reflection wasn't particularly obvious to the untrained eye, Naruko's Sharingan allowed her to perceive it with precision. Impressive. You're quite perceptive of your surroundings, Tiger remarked with intrigue. I am Tiger, your squad captain. You may recall being assigned to my team. Understood. But do I need to brace myself for a fight, or will you put the kunai away and stop standing directly behind me? Naruko asked, her patience thinning. If a confrontation was inevitable, she preferred to settle it swiftly. Eager, aren't we? No need for concern. Tiger chuckled before stepping to the center of the room. This is my squad, Hawk, Boar, and Cat. As Tiger introduced each member, they acknowledged her with a subtle nod. However, when Naruko's gaze landed on Cat, she tilted her head slightly, a flicker of recognition crossing her face. The masked individual had a striking feature, vibrant purple hair. It was an uncommon shade, one Naruko had only seen on one other person before. Hello, Naruko. Welcome to Squad Rho, Cat greeted warmly. Yugao? Naruko responded, surprised. A light laugh escaped Yugao as the rest of the squad chuckled as well. It was amusing to see how tense Naruko had been, until she realized she was among familiar faces. Yes, it's me. You should relax a little? We're your squad mates? Well, with Captain Tiger here setting the tone, it didn't exactly feel welcoming, Naruko retorted playfully. I just wanted to clarify my standing. And what makes you think you could challenge me? Tiger asked, his interest piqued. It's not a matter of whether I could, Naruko replied confidently. I simply refuse to be underestimated. Tiger smirked at her response before formally introducing himself. Well then, my name is Tenzo. You already know Yugao. Boar removed his mask, revealing his face. I'm Zoro. Hawk followed suit. I'm Hinto. Naruko blinked in surprise. Wait. You're a Hyuga? With blue hair? Yep, hence my name. Besides, you're one to talk, you're an Uchiha with red highlights, Hinto remarked. Fair enough. You don't seem much older than me. I'm 16. I joined Anbu when I was 14. Oh, impressive. Hey, aren't you supposed to have some kind of symbol or insignia? No, I was a main branch member. But ever since I joined Anbu and demonstrated my skills in ninjutsu, my clan has looked down on me. Forget about them. Never thought I'd see the day an Uchiha would defend a Hyuga, Zoro said with a chuckle. So, what animal did you get assigned, Naruko? Hinto asked. I'm the fox, Naruko replied, showing her mask. They all smiled at the fitting choice but refrained from commenting on it. Yugao informed them that Kakashi planned to take Naruko to meet the Hokage regarding her heritage and responsibilities. She also mentioned that Naruko had received the special kunai. "Alright, go get changed. We have an induction ceremony to attend," Tenzo said with a smile. That night was one of the most enjoyable ones Naruko had ever experienced. She wasn't met with blind hostility and actually had fun getting to know her squad. Throughout the evening, she was greeted warmly by every Anbu member, and the food was exceptional. Though officially called a ceremony, it felt more like an excuse for everyone to gather and celebrate. Naruko and Hinto quickly formed a friendship, and both were eager to spar. Hinto had been the fastest in the squad, but with Naruko's arrival, he was now ranked second. Still, he was curious to test the new recruit's skills in battle. "You have to try this," Hinto said, offering Naruko a glass. "What is it?" "Some top-quality fruit punch." "I don't know, Hinto. I'm only 11. Come on, we're Anbu. That doesn't apply to us. Just try it, if you insist." 30 glasses later, and Naruko still didn't feel any effects from the drink. Hinto, on the other hand, was clearly overindulged. "How can you not be affected?" Hinto hiccuped, slurring his words as he spoke. "I have no idea." "Well, I think I'm done for the night," Naruko said, getting up and walking over to the fire. She watched the flames dance and, for a moment, wished Sasuke was there. She would have loved to be sitting by the fire with her. Now officially an Anbu, Naruko knew there were challenges ahead, ones she could never fully prepare for. But that wouldn't stop her from striving to reach her full potential. The next morning, as the sun rose, Naruko walked home, exhausted from the previous night's festivities. She hadn't gotten much sleep, but it had been worth it. Now, all she wanted was to rest. Entering her home, she noticed Sasuke fast asleep on the couch. Judging by her posture, she had only recently dozed off. Smiling, Naruko carefully lifted her in a bridal carry and brought her to her room, gently laying her down before tucking the covers over her. Just as she turned to leave, Sasuke grabbed her hand. "Good morning, Sasuke-chan," Naruko said softly, brushing a few strands of hair from her face. "Morning, Naru-chan," Sasuke murmured before yawning. Though she had just woken up, it was clear she wanted to sleep a little longer. Naruko felt the same way. "Don't go," Sasuke mumbled, still holding onto her hand. "Sasuke-chan, I'm really tired. I don't think I can stay awake much longer." "Then don't," she replied simply, causing Naruko to raise an eyebrow, until Sasuke gently pulled her onto the bed and wrapped her arms around her. "Just go to sleep." Naruko chuckled softly. "All right, if you insist." Within moments, both of them drifted into a peaceful sleep. 5 days later. "Naruko-chan, it's good to see you. How are you enjoying your time in Anbu?" "Gigi, it's been great. The induction ceremony was impressive, and my squad seems like a fantastic group. Hinto is definitely full of energy, but he's a good person," Naruko said with a cheerful laugh, unaware that her squad was listening from the rooftop. Hinto, who was about to demonstrate just how energetic he could be, was halted by a sharp look from Tenzo. "Naruko? Calling me wild in front of the Hokage? Seriously?" Hinto muttered, pretending to be offended. The Hokage chuckled. "I'm glad to hear you're adjusting well. However, there's something important that Kakashi and I need to tell you." Naruko tilted her head curiously. "What is it?" "The original plan was to wait until you became a Chunin, but now that you're in Anbu, we believe it's time," Hiruzen said, his expression turning serious. "You're telling me now? Is it something bad?" Naruko asked, a slight edge of concern in her voice. Kakashi shook his head. "It doesn't change who you are, Naruko. No matter what, you'll always be you." Hiruzen nodded. "There are 2 things you need to know, one about your heritage and another that is a direct consequence of it." Naruko furrowed her brows. "What do you mean?" Your mother was Kushina Uzumaki, and your father was Minato Uchiha, Hiruzen revealed carefully, watching for Naruko's reaction. Naruko's eyes widened. My father was the fourth Hokage? She took a deep breath as the realization settled. So the reason they weren't around was because of the Kyuubi. But wait, you can't destroy a being made of chakra. That means... Her voice trailed off as she pieced it together. Hiruzen sighed. Yes, Naruko. Your father gave his life to protect the village. To ensure its safety, he sealed the Kyuubi within you. Dash. Dear Anime Dreams family. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to my channel for more exciting content. Thank you for your support. Gratefully. Anime Dreams.